You've got shit. I've got shit. We've all got shit. So let's therapize that shit with your host, me, Joy Gerhard. Please note, I am not a therapist. I cannot and do not diagnose anyone or prescribe anything. This is just me, someone who struggles with mental illness, emotions, and intrusive thoughts, sharing what skills I've used and how I've used them. Also, trigger warning, in this podcast, I talk about sensitive topics including mental illness, suicidal ideation, self-harm, rape, childhood sexual assault, trauma, and more. I also swear here and there, so listener discretion is advised. If you're new to the podcast, some context for you. I've gotten a ton of value out of doing group therapy and watching others process their shit. In group, I can see other people's patterns and behaviors much more clearly because they aren't my patterns and behaviors, but rather I share this relief with you via this podcast, wherein I practice skills while actually in the thick of shit. Each episode, I typically do an introduction and provide some context. Then I play a recording of me actively dealing with shit. This isn't me talking about psychology or theories. I'm actually in distress, having angry, numb. But my intention is always to move through an emotion, never to stay there. So stick with me, and we'll actually come out on the other side by the end of the episode. Alrighty, let's hop to it. Welcome. It has been a very busy couple weeks. I just finished 2 days ago my 8-week partial hospitalization program, my PHP. And so I've been a bit brain dead because I'm spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in class, and then like 3 hours of commuting plus an hour to 2 hours of homework. So I finally finished that. I can now move on to posting this second half of the conversation that was in the previous episode. So that was episode 49. And during that episode, Ruth and I spent a lot of time drilling down into what exactly the details of what she needs to accept. So this half of the conversation happened a couple weeks after the conversation that you heard in the previous episode. We had the conversation on November 9th, 2025, and this commentary is being recorded on November 16th, 2025. But a brief orientation before I play the recording for you. Most of the skills that I reference are from the DBT manual by Marsha Linehan. DBT stands for Dialectic Behavioral Therapy and is the therapy type that works the best for my brain. Now, a revised edition of the DBT manual out, but I'm still using the second edition, which I vastly prefer. And in the description, I have a link for where you can find both the PDF version and a hard copy of that second edition. Whenever I'm quoting the DBT manual, or really anyone else's work other than my own, in the Parisian catacombs, or more accurately, the Parisian catacombs bathroom, assuming it has a bathroom. I will be referencing handouts from several of the DBT modules in this episode. There are 4, and they are mindfulness, interpersonal effectiveness. Mention a handout that I'm reading from. I'll say something like, this is from Mindfulness Handout 9, or whatever. So you can follow along if you're so inclined. Before I forget, a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters, Anne and Ruth. Ruth, who is the self-same person who is joining me on today's conversation. You both are convivial rockweed mummy chogs and are 93.3% of the reason that this podcast exists for public consumption. So thank you so much. And if you, dear listener, would like to contribute and support this podcast, the link to my Patreon is in the description. Okay, so listener would like to contribute and support this podcast, the link to my Patreon is in the description. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right on in. I do recommend, if you haven't listened to episode 49, that you start there, because most of the context for what's about to happen is in that episode. So episode 49, that you start there, because most of the context for what's about to happen is in that episode. So let's dive in. Okay, so again, I am joined by my older sister, Ruth. Okay, so again, I am joined by my older sister, Ruth, all the way from basically as far away from me as you can get in the continental United States. Almost, yes, in Florida. And we are going to be continuing our conversation from a few weeks ago on the previous...
I'm doing a happy dance.
Happy dance. Last episode, we were talking about trying to identify the things that Ruth wants to practice radical acceptance towards. And this episode, we're going to actually be doing the practice. So you and I have talked about that I was doing some research into cultural values, individualistic versus collective societies, and societies with linear time versus, there's another time type, I can't remember. But that there's like different cultural values that different countries have.
Jeremy Bearimy time.
Jeremy Bearimy time, yes.
The Good Place reference for anyone who hasn't seen The Good Place.
So there's cultural differences, and I think for folks in the West, for hyper-individualistic, capitalist, all about like producing society, radical acceptance is a hard thing for us to wrap our head around. There's other cultures that are much more like skilled, or like it's much part of like that are much more like skilled, or like it's much part of like their cultural ethos to practice acceptance, and we are frequently out of acceptance because our capitalism is so rooted in like puritanical work ethic of like, you're bad, you need to be fixed, you should be different. There's a lot you need to be fixed, you should be different. There's a lot of shoulding and a lot of judging, and judging is antithetical to acceptance.
Very good.
Okay, so we're going to start by just going through, and you, my podcast listeners, will recognize what I'm about to read, because I have read this many, many times. I think what I'm about to read, because I have read this many, many times. I think radical acceptance is probably the most frequent single topic that comes up on this podcast, because I have a hard time doing it. I need to practice it a shit ton. So I'm going to read through the three handouts from the DBT. So we're going to start with Distress Tolerance Handout 11, titled Radical Acceptance, When You Cannot Keep Painful Events and Emotions from Coming Your Way. What is radical acceptance? Number 1, radical means all the way, complete and total. Number 2, it is accepting in your mind, your heart, and your body. Number 3, it's when you sit and let go of bitterness. What has to be accepted? Number 1, reality is as it is. The facts about the past and the present are the facts, even if you don't like them. Number 2, there are limitations on the future for everyone, but only realistic limitations need to be accepted. Number 3, everything has a cause, including life can be worth living even with painful events in it. Why accept reality? Number 1, rejecting reality does not change reality. Number 2, changing reality requires first accepting reality. Number 3, pain can't be avoided. It is nature's way of signaling that something is wrong. Number 4, rejecting reality turns pain into suffering. Number 5, refusing to accept reality can keep you stuck in unhappiness, bitterness, anger, sadness, shame, and other painful emotions. Number 6, acceptance may lead to sadness, but deep calmness usually follows. Number 7, the path out of hell is through misery. By refusing to accept the misery that is part of climbing out of hell, you fall back into hell. All right, so let's go through that again, and Ruth, you are now free to interject with thoughts. With thoughts, questions, queries, comments, whatever. So this is Distress Tolerance Handout 11, titled Radical Acceptance, When You Cannot Keep Painful Events and Emotions from Coming Your Way. What is radical acceptance? Number 1, radical, complete, and total. Number 2, it is accepting in your mind, your heart, and your body.
Pause.
Great.
That one struck me this time when you were reading it, because I was thinking about how I feel like I often accept things in my mind, and I don't even know what it really I feel like more aware of what I think it would feel like to accept things in my feeling. But with my heart, that feels, I don't know, the mind and heart, or the heart and body, feel less clear what that feels like. Like I feel like I'm more acceptance experience in intellectually accepting things.
Sure. Well, like I always like to think of physical examples. So like let's say, and you do the walk or something, and you look out your window and you see that it's raining. Sometimes that means, okay, I'm still going to go for a walk, but I'm going to put on a raincoat. And sometimes it means, okay, I'm not going to go for a walk right now because I don't want to get wet.
Right.
Those are like in your body acceptances. Like you're changing the way your behavior is going to be. And I see that it's in the 30s. I put on warmer clothes.
Right. That's a good example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so body sounds more almost like physical and action acceptance, and then heart maybe is more emotional.
I think so.
Okay, go on.
So we're asking the question, what is radical acceptance? Because reality is not the way you want it, and let go of bitterness.
I like that she uses the word tantrum because that really is what it feels like. Like, but I didn't want it to go this way.
Yep.
And when you said like that, it feels almost kind of silly to not accept things. Like, well, yeah, that is what is happening. Why would you not accept it?
And I think toddlers and younger, toddlers will frequently have that. Like, they didn't get the blue cup, or they dropped a toy on the ground. They're dealing with that things aren't going the way they want all the time and having tantrums all the time about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I feel like the effective thing to do is usually be like, yeah, I get why that sucks. Not like, stop crying. Like, that doesn't really solve the problem. Yeah. Okay. Go on.
So that was the first box on the handout. What is radical acceptance? The next box is what has to be accepted. Number 1, reality is as it is. The facts about the past. Number 1, reality is as it is. The facts about the past and the present are the facts, even if you don't like them.
Yeah, that feels related to what I was just saying.
Number 2, there are limitations on the future for everyone, but only realistic limitations need to be accepted. Number 3, everything has a cause, including events and need to be accepted. Number 3, everything has a cause, including events and situations that cause you pain and suffering. Number 4, life can be worth living even with painful events in it.
Hang on, I want to back up. There's limitations of the future, but only realistic ones need to be accepted. That one is interesting to me because who just finds what's a realistic expectation?
Limitation?
Thank you. Yes, limitation.
And I mean, like, limitations are different for different people.
Right.
That's part of the reason I hate inspiration porn. It's usually around disability of like, look, this blind man climbed Everest without oxygen, or every blind person can.
Right.
Just because he can do it with that disability doesn't mean that someone else with a different disability can do it.
Right. Okay, that's helpful.
The final box on this page is why accept reality. Number 1, rejecting reality does not change reality. Number 2, can't be avoided. It is nature's way of signaling that something is wrong.
That reminds me of when I was in massage school, we talked about, I forget what the condition is called, but there's a condition where people are born without the capacity to feel pain, and they don't usually live very long because they get a cut, it gets infected, or they break a bone, they don't know they broke a bone, and like it gets infected and they die.
Yeah, there's I don't know if it came out this year or if it's coming out next year, but there's a movie with Dennis Quaid's son, Jack Quaid, who he's a dude who cannot feel pain, and it's an action movie, and so he's behaving like an action star.
Right.
He's behaving like an action star.
Right. So you're gonna get shot and not know you're shot, and then you're like,
Yeah.
So it is interesting how much we avoid pain when the whole like avoiding pain is what leads to suffering is interesting because that feels very true. Like a cut hurts and a cut doesn't not hurt, but ignore the cut. That's getting very true. Like a cut hurts and a cut doesn't not hurt, but ignore the cut. That's getting infected and it's going to hurt way more.
Because like if you get a nasty cut on your hand or something, or your foot, what acceptance looks like in that case is going, aha, I have a cut. I'm going to treat it. Aha, I have a cut. I'm going to treat it. I'm going to acknowledge that it's there and do the things that one does when you have a cut. And I might change my behavior. I might like put a plastic bag over it while I take a shower, or not go rock climbing or something until your cut heals. You're actually like changing what you're doing in alignment with your reality. Yes, you have a cut. Number 4, rejecting reality turns pain into suffering. Number 5, refusing to accept reality can keep you stuck in unhappiness, bitterness, anger, sadness, shame, and other painful emotions, but deep calmness usually follows. And number 7, the path out of hell is through misery. By refusing to accept the misery that is part of climbing out of hell, you fall back into hell.
This also makes me think of the I have roaches living in my car right now.
Like the insect?
Yes. And I am intellectual, but I have not bodily accepted it. I have not done anything about it because I'm like, have to figure out which of the many ways of killing roaches I want to do that I'm comfortable with having in my car. Like the first people were like, you should set off a roach bomb or whatever. I'm like, it's going to get like whatever that crap is all over my, like, and so, crap is all over my, like, and so, I'm sure it's just getting worse. Like, I'm sure they're just breeding and like avoiding the misery of like having to make the decision and having to buy the poison and having to deal with like now finding dead roaches in my car from like is not fixing the problem. It's probably from like is not fixing the problem. It's probably just making it worse and then potentially leading it to them in my stuff, which brings it into the house. Like it's, yeah.
Well, I think about this one a lot because the path out of hell is through misery. I'm like, really? Is it? But then I think about like hell is through misery. I'm like, really? Is it? But then I think about like we can't teleport. So if I'm in a bad place like a bad part of town and I want to get someplace else and I call you and say, "Hey, I really need to get out of here. I hate it here." You're going to give me directions to wherever you are. And for a while I will still be in the place I don't want to be. In fact, the entire time I'm driving to your house, I will be in a place I don't want to be because where I want to be is your house, but it takes me time to get there because I can't teleport. And I have to accept that part of driving to your house will be being transportation required.
Right.
Because we can't teleport. Now, if we ever develop the ability to teleport, this last step, number 7 here, will no longer be applicable. But we can't. Yet.
Limitations on the future apply, but only realistic limitations need be accepted.
Let's do that now.
Exactly.
So right now we're still working with the reality of no teleportation.
Very good.
Okay. Let's move on now to Distress Tolerance Handout 11A, titled Radical Acceptance, Factors That Interfere. So, Radical Acceptance, Factors That Interfere. So, radical acceptance is not approval, compassion, love, passivity, or against change.
Those are like all the things that people think acceptance is.
Yes.
Like, I'm just settling, it's nothing.
Passion, love, passivity, or against change.
Those are like all the things that people think acceptance is.
Yes.
Like, I'm just settling, it's nothing's going to change, it's going to stay the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
It means I approve.
Like, accepting that you have roaches in. Yes.
Like, I'm just settling, it's nothing's going to change, it's going to stay the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
It means I approve.
Like, accepting that you have roaches in your car is the thing that's going to allow you to take action about the fact that there are roaches in your car.
Right.
So, radical about the fact that there are roaches in your car.
Right.
So, radical acceptance is frequently supportive of change, but you have to accept where you're starting from.
Right.
So, here are factors that interfere with acceptance. Number 1, you don't have the skills for acceptance. You do not know how to accept. If you accept a painful event, you are making light of it or are approving of the facts, and that nothing will be done to change or prevent future painful events. Number 3, emotions get in the way. And it says here unbearable sadness, and I've written in nearly unbearable sadness because no emotions will kill us. We can barely unbearable sadness, anger at the person or group that caused the painful event, rage at the injustice of the world, overwhelming shame about who you are, guilt about your own behavior. And then the last one is a box for other, and I always write in a lack of a real understanding of what you're accepting, which is what in the entirety of where you were out of acceptance.
Right. What was the thing you said about guilt or shame?
Overwhelming shame about who you are or guilt about your own behavior.
Yeah, that's the thing we were talking about last time too, is like when I feel shame or guilt for having caused harm at all, it gets an apologize, which is a thing I'm interested in shifting.
1,000%. That's a frequent thing that comes up in social justice circles, in conversations around like privilege and whatnot. The refusal to accept that I, as a white person, am racist means that I would be effective for me to do around my racism because I'm not racist, like refusing to acknowledge that, hey, I can impact other people or that I benefit from a system means that I will not take any effective steps at all.
Right.
Distress tolerance handout 11B. Practicing radical acceptance step by step. And finally, folks, after like 8 years, I have numbered these steps.
Are they not numbered?
They're not numbered. It's the only page on radical acceptance that's not numbered, and it is titled Practicing Radical Acceptance that's not numbered, and it is titled Practicing Radical Acceptance Step by Step. I suspect why is because you don't necessarily, like, you do it all in order, but then you may go back and like jump from step to step or whatever.
Right.
It's not necessarily linear, but it makes it hard to reference a step if it's necessarily linear. But it makes it hard to reference a step if it's not numbered.
Oh.
Okay, so practicing acceptance. It was acceptance that I couldn't keep track of the steps that finally had me go, you know what? You could number those, Joy.
Nice.
All right, so we got step 1. Observe that you are questioning or fighting reality. It shouldn't be this way. Step 2. Remind yourself that the unpleasant reality is just as it is and cannot be changed. Quote, this is what happened. Step 3. Remind yourself that there are this very moment. Consider how people's lives have been shaped by a series of factors. Notice that given these causal factors and how history led up to this moment, this reality had to occur just this way. Quote, this is how things happened. Step 4. Practice accepting with the whole self. Mind, body, and self. Use accepting self-talk, but also consider using relaxation, mindfulness of your breath, half smiling and willing hands while thinking about what feels unacceptable, prayer, going to a place that helps bring you to acceptance, or imagery. Step 5. Practice opposite action. List all the behaviors you would do if you did X. Engage in the behaviors that you would do if you really had accepted. Step 6. Cope ahead with events that seem unacceptable. Imagine in your mind's eye believing what you don't want to accept. Rehearse in your mind what you would do if you accepted what seems unacceptable. Step 7. Attend to body sensations as you think about what you need to accept. Step 8. Allow disappointment, sadness, or grief to arise within you. Step 9. Acknowledge that life can be worth living even when there is pain. Step 10. Do pros and cons if you find yourself resisting practicing acceptance. Pros and cons if you find yourself resisting practicing acceptance. All right, so let's go over the list of things from our previous episode that we had kind of identified as what you need to accept. So these are the places where Ruth is out of acceptance. Number 1, you as a human of acceptance. Number 1, you as a human cause harm to others. You have feelings about causing harm to others. You feel sick to your stomach at the idea that you will cause harm to others. You're worried that when you cause harm to others, they won't tell you and they'll leave you. And also right now you're to others even when there's no evidence to support it. Number 3, other folks may not know themselves fully, so when they communicate how they're feeling to you, they might not be communicating accurately. And there's a bunch of different places where this can happen. They may not know how they feel. They may know how they feel, but not be able to communicate it accurately. They may know how they feel, communicate it accurately, and you might not hear them. Or you might hear them, but hear them inaccurately. Or you might hear them and add your own interpretations and assumptions, so you're adding meaning that wasn't there. Number 4, that you don't know how someone else feels. Number 5, that others aren't supposed to hurt you and who hurt you from a place of being angry. You're afraid of bringing up your hurt from a really charged place and causing harm by doing that. Number 6, another thing you need to accept is that things bother you. You have the belief that if things bother you, you're not forgiving enough or understanding or empathetic, and that you're judging. You want there to be less judgment when people cause you harm, and you want to have less anger when you tell them that they've hurt you. And number 7, you're inheriting the values from society and family that aren't actually values that you want to have, but they're values that are lingering from childhood or society or whatever.
Yes, all the things.
So I think what I can get it down to that's pretty short is that you cause harm to others. You have thoughts and feelings about that. That you harm to others. You have thoughts and feelings about that. That you don't know how someone else feels, like how you're impacting someone else, and that things bother you. Like people do things that bother or hurt you.
I forget how you phrased it in the last episode, but it was you said, do I believe that I shouldn't ever be harmed or experience feeling harmed or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good summary. That was good.
Okay, so let's go through then radical acceptance step by step with those 4 things.
All at once?
No, we're gonna lump those 4 things together. That's gonna be and you have thoughts and feelings about it. You don't know how other people feel about you or the harm that you cause, and that you also experience harm from others.
Okay.
So let's start off with step 1. Observe that you are questioning or fighting reality.
So observed. Can I give a concrete example of this?
We love concrete examples.
So I was facilitating a call, and a group call. It was a group. We're all, and somebody on the call said something that I had a very strong emotional reaction. I have complex PTSD, so I'm used to having strong emotional reactions in my body, but I haven't had this level of a strong reaction in a while. So it was disorienting. And so then I was having the thoughts and feelings of like, I shouldn't be reacting this strongly. I shouldn't be this bothered. And then also this other person shouldn't be acting the way that they're acting. And then also this other person shouldn't be acting the way that they're acting. And I was like experiencing a lot of emotions like anger and helplessness and like not sure how to address the dynamic in the group, and then feeling resigned and then feeling like none of that should be happening. Like the other person should, and then feeling like none of that should be happening. Like the other person shouldn't be behaving the way they're behaving, and I shouldn't be having such a strong reaction to how they're behaving.
Totally.
Which just completely knocked me out. Like I hardly heard a word that was said on this call. So there is an example of me being out of acceptance as to what was actually going on.
Well, I like to explain, and not just to other people, but also to myself, that I think of it as like, a series of dominoes. And dominoes, the first domino, and that's happening in time, right? It's not all dominoes are knocked down instantaneously. It's one after the other after the other. And let's say this moment's domino gets knocked down. Like, I'm able to change that future dominoes get knocked down. I can pull out but I can't do anything about the fact that all of the dominoes that have fallen up till now have fallen up till now.
Right.
I think a lot of what we do when we are out of acceptance is we put a ton of energy into it should not have happened in the first place. I should not be having the feelings that I'm having right now. Frequently, most of the time I have to use a physical example to wrap my head around a lot of this shit. And if I see it as physics, I have an easier time. That okay, this present moment's domino fell. You are having an emotional reaction to the previous domino, which was that person's statement. Because you can't time travel. This domino, which was that person's statement. Because you can't time travel. That's another thing we don't have the ability to do yet. Yep. So all you can interact with is this exact moment. Because you also can't impact the future right now. All you can interact with right now is right now. All you can interact with right now is right now.
Well, I could see that I was like half accepting, like I was like, okay, this is how I'm feeling, and so I would like turn off my camera and like scream because I'm like, I'm clearly experiencing this emotion, and I need to like get the emotion move. Like I can't pretend like I'm not feeling this emotion, and it doesn't feel effective, or like I can't pretend like I'm not feeling this emotion, and it doesn't feel effective, or like the place for me to actually like I'm clearly having a reaction that's like it felt very young and child like, and I don't need to necessarily bring that into the group, into the space. What I'm hearing and what you're saying is like if I had fully accepted that that's how it's like the level of reaction I was having, I probably would have texted for like a minute and take care of myself and I'll be back. But I was still like, I'm like I went like I was also mad because I'm like, this is the call that it was the topic I wanted to talk about. So I was like pissed that I'm like having this whole thing is like taking me out of the conversation I actually want to be having. I'm like, so I was mad about that. So then I never actually fully accepted that this was going on, but I wasn't like fully accepting like the level of reaction that I was having, which makes me think of that, whatever that step was, that was like, think of what you would do if you did accept, how would you act?
Yes.
Which is the only step I ever remember about accepting is like pretending like you were accepting. Cause I'm like, if I was accepting, I probably would have jumped off the calm place and then I could have come back.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not do that. And therefore I missed almost the entire call.
Right, because you were churning in your brain, you were spiraling and in your own thoughts and feelings and not able to focus on the call.
Yeah, and not fully processing my thoughts and feelings because I was still trying to be sort of present for the call. I was like,
out.
Yeah. So I think that first step actually was like half there. I was accepting that I was having an emotional reaction, but I wasn't accepting the level of emotional reaction that I was having and how much it was distracting me.
Yes.
So I didn't fully observe that I was out of acceptance because I was noticing, I was like proud of myself. I'm turning off my camera, accepting. I might not even have been fully aware that I was in the moment, the level of.
Well, just the fact that you're like, I should tough this through. I should white knuckle the rest of this call because I'm not allowed to hop off the call or tend to my needs. Like I should be showing up a certain way is an indicator of being out of acceptance.
The should.
Yeah.
The word resentment. There was like a resentment of like, this is a call I've been excited about all week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to be having this dynamic right now. God damn it. I want to be present. So like, that's also, I think, a red flag out of acceptance.
One of the ways that I like the physical example that I like to use, I'm always using my wedding example of like you're having an outdoor wedding and it's raining.
Yeah.
And to be in acceptance of it's raining may mean, moving it indoors or calling a tent company or like giving everybody umbrellas or something. But if you refuse to accept that it's raining and you go ahead, your cake gets wet, the food gets wet, you get wet, all like everybody's getting wet, Food gets wet, you get wet, all like everybody's getting wet, because you're not taking any steps to keep people dry given that it's raining.
That's a great example of the different levels of acceptance. You said it was like mind, body, and heart.
Yes.
Because I'm imagining that scenario. I'm like, I can't imagine anyone who would actually choose to have their wedding in the scenario. I'm like, I can't imagine anyone who would actually choose to have their wedding in the rain. I think people would move the wedding inside, but they would emotionally be pissed still that they had to move the wedding inside. So that feels like I've bodily accepted.
Yes.
Like at least in my actions, I'm accepting, or like at some level intellectually accepting that it's raining and I'm taking the appropriate actions, but emotionally I'm like still throwing a tantrum about it and letting it ruin my day from an emotional standpoint, which is interesting because I've never thought about that in that example of like, oh, that's what it could look like to be like in half acceptance. Like you're accepting at some level, but it's not the radical, like full.
And everything's fine. You might still be like, hey, I'm really disappointed. I had a vision for like the type of pictures we were going to have outside and whatever. So I'm feeling kind of bummed about it, and like allowing yourself to feel the disappointment rather than trying to squelch the disappointment. And you can also put a pin in it. You're like, you know what? I'm really feeling my feelings until after the wedding. Or, there's a variety of different ways to handle it. But another example that I like to use, and I don't know that I've used it on this podcast yet, because it's kind of gross, is how would we treat our feelings if, like, compare feelings to diarrhea?
A big leap for me. Go ahead.
So you're on your belly gurgling, and you start to feel, oh God. What do you do? Well, instead of me asking you multiple choice, what would you do?
this happened to me the other day. And I was like, oh, I have to get off this call. It wasn't diarrhea, but it was like an urgent, like, oh, I have to right now, poop. And I waited a little, have to right now, poop. And I waited a little too long, like almost too long. Like I almost didn't make it because I was like, oh, but I don't want to interrupt the call. And then I was like, oh no, you have to interrupt the call. Like if you don't interrupt the call, this is not, there's no choice. It's coming.
And I think so much of our childhood is being told, don't have your feelings. We do put all this effort into, hey, given that you, small child, have to poop and pee, we're going to potty train you so that you're pooping and peeing in a place that works for everybody. The toilet, right? We don't do the toilet, right? We don't do that same level of intentional training around emotions. Of being like, hey, human, given that you're going to have strong emotions, you're going to feel sad, you're going to feel angry, you're going to feel shame, you're going to feel afraid. Let's give you the tools so that you can have those and not leave shit stains everywhere. Because, like, there have been times, and I'm sharing here, I have shit myself as an adult on more than one occasion. It's not alcohol related even. It's diet and constipation and overtrusting the occasional fart.
Anne's gonna hate this episode.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to our other sister Anne. But if I refuse to acknowledge that, like, acceptance of it is, okay, I get up and I undress and I do laundry and I clean my sheets. Like I take the sheets off and I do a load of that. The sheets off and I do a load of that. Like, there are actions that I take, given that that's what happened. If I'm like, I'm an adult, I shouldn't have this problem. That's how I go through life shitting myself.
Right.
Because we as adults sometimes have that happen. Like, we have bodily functions. I think as adults sometimes have that happen. Like, we have bodily functions. I think we need to treat our emotions as bodily functions. And sometimes you have your emotions in ways that impact others or that make a mess. The thing to do then is not to be like, I'm going to avoid ever hurting anybody else or ever impacting anyone else. It's like, no, ever hurting anybody else or ever impacting anyone else. It's like, no, the impact's going to happen. So what do? We get out Lysol, we get out some bleach, we do some laundry, like we clean it up.
Right.
I mean, any pet owner or any parent of a small child is like, you do your due diligence to try to prevent bodily fluids from going everywhere, but you acknowledge that sometimes it's going to happen, so you have cleaning supplies in your home.
I literally cleaned cat poop off the floor in the garage today.
Yeah. What would happen had you started your house sitting gig and refused to accept?
It would be terrible. There would be poop and pee all over the place because they have pooped and peed in the house a lot.
You would be tracking it all over. They would be tracking it all over. You would be bringing it into your car and then going places in your car and tracking it with you there. Hang on just a second. I need to... Okay.
Welcome back.
That's another example. I think one of the things that helps me with radical acceptance is noticing all of the times when I'm practicing radical acceptance. Like, I just accepted that it was getting dark. So I turned the light on. My computer so I can record. I can't just hop off my bed. So I was avoiding it. Yeah, I can also accept that I had thoughts and feelings. I'm like, this is disruptive. Yes, it was. But now you can see me.
I could see you before. I don't even notice the difference.
Okay, fine.
But it's okay. It was bothering you. So that's the important.
Yes.
I like that. That's the positive outliers we were talking about in the last episode too, of like noticing where you're already doing the thing, being able to map that on. Oh. Also, I just want to note, I don't remember when I started yawning. I think it was when you started reading the list of things. That I'm out of acceptance on. And it is like a very consistent, like, I wanted to say in the moment and I didn't get a chance because you were talking, to be like, oh, well, I think it's time for bed. Like, my body was like, resist, run away. My body was like, resist, run away. And I'm like yawning like crazy. I'm like very sleepy. And I mean, it also has been dark here for like an hour now, so it's also not out of the realm that my body's just tired. But I thought the timing was very interesting. Like, as soon as we start to get into the real shit, my body's like, let's tap out. A good sign that we're on to something helpful.
Splendid. Well, and that's the thing. I will harp on this. This will be the hill that I die on and kill everybody else on as well. Is that part of what we're practicing acceptance around has to include our thoughts and feelings. It's not just, oh, I'm accepting it.
Right. You can't pretend like you're not disappointed. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Like, feel your disappointment. Like, do you need to take some time out? And like, while everybody else is getting their hair and makeup done, you're like over here just being like, God damn it. Like, you get your best friend and you're like, hey, can I just vent at you for 10 minutes? Like,
or my fear with that is that it will turn into wallowing. And I think I know where the distinction is probably in my body, but it's an interesting.
That's frequently a reaction. Like, one of the things I love about being in DBT group is that it normalizes a lot of things that I judge myself for. If I start feeling my feelings, I'll never stop.
What I noticed was, because I'm thinking about the areas where I feel like I have like what I call wallowed, like, and it's often when I'm staying in a situation that's not really working for me, like when I was at a job that wasn't really working, and so then I was just noticing I'm like bitching and complaining about this job all the time, which you could say is me, like, as I wasn't accepting the whole picture of like, this is actually not working for me. And so I'm accepting my emotions about it not working for me, but I'm not accepting like the whole big picture of like, it's actually not working, which I finally did accept, and I quit my job.
Yeah.
Since our last call. So woohoo. Oh
yes, that's
to our last call. So thanks. But that's part of what I'm seeing is like I also am aware, as someone who suppressed feelings for a very long time and then stopped suppressing them, that at first it is like you just opened up a fire hose. And there is an element of like, there's a lot there, but it does not, it stops. Like, even today, when I had my like really strong, that I was super disappointed I was having a strong reaction on, the strong reaction lasted like 25-30 minutes. Whereas in the past, that would have lasted 3-4 days.
Yeah.
Like, so I think the more you let yourself feel, then the faster the feelings move. And kids don't have this problem. They feel their feelings and they're gone in like 30. Kids don't have this problem. They feel their feelings and they're gone in like 30 seconds.
Yep.
It's just, we've just now suppressed them for like 30 years. So when you start feeling, there's a lot there at first sometimes, but it's not forever.
Yeah, that I think is key. That like there's no feeling we feel forever. Now, like feeling we feel forever. Now, like let's say, somebody you love dies when you're very young, and you may feel grief about that loss for your entire life, but you're not feeling unbearable grief every second of the day for your entire life. It'll be in waves because emotions are in waves.
Right. Right.
And by trying to avoid those peaks, we put a big old fucking dam across that flow, and everything behind the dam gets really deep and really still and doesn't move. And then when you blow up the dam, there's this huge flood. But eventually,
it's now back to it.
When it rains, sure, but then it stabilizes again. Like it's not that way permanently.
Right. Okay. Let's look at another step.
Okay, so we started with step 1, observe that you're questioning or fighting the reality that you cause harm to others, you have feelings about them, and that you are also harmed by others.
Right.
So now we're going to do step 2, which is remind yourself that the unpleasant reality is just as it is and cannot be changed.
Okay, and the unpleasant reality in this instance is that I cause harm to others. Others cause harm from other people. I have thoughts and feelings about both of those things, and I actually don't really know what other people are feeling.
Correct.
And can't control it.
Yes.
Ugh.
What is coming up for you?
Oh, it's just uncomfortable. Okay, so I'm sitting with that is the unpleasant reality and can't be changed. Oh yeah, see. Okay, so I'm sitting with that is the unpleasant reality and can't be changed. Oh yeah, see, and now I'm back to step 1. This is why they're not numbered.
Yeah.
Because I'm like aware that I'm out of acceptance about that is the way it is and it can't be changed. Like, yeah, that I cause harm, that other people cause harm, it can't be changed. Like, yeah, that I cause harm, that other people cause harm, Remind me what this step is again. I have so much resistance to this process.
As you yawn.
Uh-huh.
Remind yourself that the unpleasant reality is as it is and cannot be changed. So phrasing that for you, remind yourself is and cannot be changed. So phrasing that for you, remind yourself that the unpleasant reality that you cause harm to others, others cause harm to you, you have thoughts and feelings about both those things, and you can't know how someone else feels. You can't fully know how someone else feels and cannot be changed.
Okay. So that's it. We did it. Reminded myself of those things.
You're like, move on, Joy, move on.
Well, I was like, what else am I supposed to do? I'm like, I'm just supposed to remind myself. Okay, cool. I can remind myself. That doesn't mean I like fully feel alignment with that in my.
That is correct.
Let's
and
keep going and see what happens.
I will also add that one of the things my first DBT instructor says that, hey, when you're not able to accept something, you can accept that you can't accept it. Like there's always some little piece that you can accept.
Right. You said that in the last episode. I can't fully accept with my whole being that statement, but I can remind myself of it. That I did. Reminded.
Splendid. Step 3 I have written. I don't know if you can see this.
No! I hate this one.
Yes. I don't feel this way. One of my favorite things is I put the date over the first time I went over this in group. So I get to see, like, this was from 2016 and 2017, and I don't feel this way about this step anymore, which is fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so remind yourself that there are causes for the reality. So there are causes for you causing harm to others, others causing harm to you. There are causes for you having thoughts and feelings about both of those. And there are causes for you not knowing fully how someone else feels.
I was distracted by the actual step.
Fully how someone else feels.
I was distracted by the actual step. I'm like, oh, you don't hate this one anymore because you do this one really naturally, really easily. You're really good at this step.
Thank you.
Can you say those things again? There are causes for
your reality. There are causes for you causing harm to others. There are causes for other people causing harm to you. There are about both of those things. And there are causes for you not being able to fully know how someone else feels. All of those things are caused and come from somewhere. Physics.
It's not so much, I mean, it is other people causing harm to me. I'm just going to nitpick on the language for a second.
Let's get exactly the way you mean it. That I'm others accurate, that phrasing.
Let's say I hurt people.
Ruth hurts people.
Ugh, yeah, that's way worse.
People hurt Ruth.
Nope, it's not that people hurt me. I mean, it is that, but it's that it's like it's not quite the right phrase, but it's like that I allow myself to be hurt by their behavior than whether or not does that make sense? Like I have it that I shouldn't feel hurt.
Ruth feels hurt by others.
I think just say Ruth feels hurt. Like I feel like I'm not supposed to feel hurt, period. By myself, by others, by circumstances. Like I'm just not supposed to feel hurt. I'm supposed to be grateful and happy and
right. Content.
Yeah.
You've learned the secret to being content in all situations, whether well-fed or hungry, whether rich or poor.
I can do all things through God who gives me strength.
Yeah, we're quoting the Bible verses here. Okay, so Ruth hurts people. Ruth feels hurt. Ruth has thoughts and feelings. Feels hurt. Ruth has thoughts and feelings about both of those. And Ruth cannot fully know how someone else feels.
I think we should say this is helpful to hone in. This is back to the last episode. We're honing in on what there is to be accepted. Because I was thinking about this to the last episode. We're honing in on what there is to be accepted. Because I was thinking about this when I was listening to our last episode and kind of writing down notes and thinking through it a little bit more. Like, because there was a couple moments where in the last episode you said something and I felt like I got punched in the gut because it was like the exact way you said it. And then when you say it a different way, I don't have like it's the same concept, but it's said differently and like that it lands very differently. It's very interesting. Okay, say them again because I wanted to tweak something that I can't remember what.
Ruth hurts people. You hurt people. Let's put it that way. You hurt people. You feel hurt. You have thoughts and feelings about both of these.
Also, when we're going through this, we should have me say stuff out loud, so it's I.
So do you need to write these four things down?
Yeah, once we get it honed in, I'll write it down.
You should probably also go grab your DBT book.
I don't know where it is.
Okay.
I'll write them down when we get it honed. I have thoughts and feelings. That was the one I'm trying to rephrase. I have. Do you, when you're doing this, when you say, I feel like it would be helpful to actually name the specific thoughts and feelings that I have. Do you usually do that with yourself, or do you just say you have thoughts and?
Depends.
I think it shouldn't be this way, and I feel angry and sad. Okay, what was the last one?
You cannot fully know how someone else.
That one's pretty good. The way it is.
Splendid.
All right, let me write them down. Little ice flow setup failed me. Okay, hit me with those again. Write them down.
You hurt people.
Okay.
You feel hurt.
Okay.
You have thoughts and feelings and judgments.
Okay.
You have thoughts and feelings and judgments about both of those.
Okay.
You have the thought, it shouldn't be this way. And you feel angry and sad.
Okay.
And finally, you cannot fully know how someone else feels.
Okay. Do you want me to look for my DBT manual, or are you okay to continue?
I can also take a...
Okay. Do you want me to look for my DBT manual, or are you okay to continue?
I can also take a picture of the page and just send it to you.
It's in the last place I looked.
Hey, that's always the case.
Mm-hmm. Touche.
So we're on step 3. Remind yourself that there are causes for the reality. So you would say, remind yourself that there are causes for the reality. So you would say, there are causes for the reality of...
There are causes for the reality that I hurt people. There are causes for the reality that I feel hurt. There are causes for the reality that I have thoughts and feelings and judgments about those. The thought is, shouldn't be this way. There are causes for the reality that I feel angry and sad. And there are causes for the reality that I cannot fully know how someone else feels. This is annoying.
What is annoying about it?
That it's working.
Tell me more.
Well, I have on my mirror,
Uh-huh.
and I have a similar experience when there's 3 steps. They're very simple, and I have a lot of resistance, especially to this 3rd step. And every time I'm like, this is dumb. It's not going to help. And then every time I do it, it helps. And then I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a factory. I'm like, what? Okay.
Well, we have an episode, I don't remember what episode number it was, where you and I talk about how annoyed we get when a really simple skill works.
I remember this. I was listening to that recently.
Because we have the thought that, like, hey, it's really complicated for me.
Also, we have the thought that, like, if it's this simple, I should have done it sooner. Like, why couldn't I do it sooner? Or why? Like, it feels like annoying that, oh, this is all I had to do?
Yeah.
Well, and then I'm like, okay, well, so in that, now I'm out of acceptance. I'm observing that I'm out of acceptance, that it's this simple. And then one of the things that you said gets in the way of acceptance is I don't have the skills for practicing acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's clearly happened because I haven't really, yep.
Okay, so we're on step 3. We've gotten through the first sentence of step 3.
No, we got through the, oh, I see. Yep, okay. Remind myself that there are causes that how people's lives have been shaped by a series of factors. Notice that given these causal factors and how history led up to this moment, this reality had to occur just this way. This is how things happened. I was kind of having that in mind while I was saying there are causes for the reality that I hurt people. Like, I was thinking the history that led up to this moment is that the human race was created, and that led up to this moment is that the human race was created, and that human race actually causes harm to one another. Yeah.
So, like, if you were to say this, like, practically, it would be like, your life has been shaped by a series of factors. Other people's lives have been shaped by a series of factors. And given the causal factors that shaped your life, given the causal factors that shaped your life, given the causal factors that shaped other people's lives, and how history led up to this moment, the reality that you hurt people, you feel hurt, you have thoughts and feelings about those, and you cannot fully know how someone else feels, that reality had to occur just this way. That reality had to occur just this way.
I was having the feeling as you were saying all of that, I don't want to, it feels like accepting that the causes in other people's lives, that like other people have like experiences that led up to this is one of the things where I feel this is one of the things acceptance. The immediate thought I have is like, if I fully understand where someone else is coming from, then I have to be empathic and understanding, and I don't want to. I want to stay judgmental. Then I'm like, why? And then I was thinking about how we talked earlier before. We've talked about how judgments are doing something for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I often feel like judgments are doing for me. They're giving me the fuel I feel like I need, or my own whatever. Because then I had the thought of like, well, if I accepted that other people, like, of course they're acting that way, then I have to like deal with their behavior. But then I realized as I'm saying that, I'm like, well, that's only me accepting their part of it. If I also accept that I'm having feelings about how they're, then there is for me to say something. That's why I quit my job, because I finally accept the argument that I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
I finally stopped judging my workplace and my boss and my and I just realized, it's fine that they're running the business this way. Like, it's their business. They get to run it however they want. And it's fine that they're running it that way. And it's also fine that I'm having feelings and experiences about that, and that it's challenging for me to work there. And if I accepted fully, but both of those things are true, then I would leave. Like, sure. I just wouldn't stay. It's like just not a good fit. I don't have to keep putting my energy into trying to change something that clearly doesn't want to be changed. I could just be like, yep, that's how you are, and that's chill, and I'm out. This is what I'm realizing and saying all this out loud. Is that I think it's easier. This is what I'm realizing and saying all this out loud. Is that I think it's easier for me to accept, or it's a more natural thought process for me to be able to acknowledge the like what led up to other people acting the way they are. And it's harder for me to acknowledge that there's things that led up to the way that I am.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Think about how we...
That I am.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Think about how we grew up. What Bible verses tell you about how you're supposed to behave?
A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
Sure, turn the other cheek. Well, and to be clear, a lot of that stuff, like a lot of things that Jesus taught, are culturally specific. Like, do you know about the, like, if a Roman soldier tells you to carry his gear for a mile, carry it for 2?
Uh-huh.
It was illegal for Roman soldiers to ask people to carry their gear for more than a mile. So it's malicious compliance. The turn the other cheek was because there was the masculine way of slapping someone across the face, like with your dominant hand. You backhand them. Slapping them the other way was emasculating, like with an open palm towards the cheek. So again, it's malicious compliance. A lot of what Jesus was saying was malicious and let any amount of mistreatment be directed at us. That is not what it's saying.
That's very interesting.
But of course, it makes sense that the church leaders who put the Bible together, and like King James and everybody, would want to spin it so that it was like, hey, you just need to allow us, the people.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking the term malicious compliance resonates more for me of like kind of the like rebellious, rule-breaking nature that I feel like Jesus was, but totally flies in the face of like the picture we have painted of him as this like
docile, passive.
Yeah, like the guy who turns over the carts and the
passive.
Yeah, like the guy who turns over the carts and the whatever in the shopping in the temple, the
flips the tables in the temple.
Yeah, that feels much more like a malicious compliance energy than oh yeah, I'll just put up with whatever.
This is a common thing that I experience as well. This is a common thing that I experience as well. This like, if I fully get your experience, then I have to just let you treat me however. I think if we do that, if we are fully getting other people's experience, we have to do that in conjunction with fully getting ours. If we do with fully getting ours. If we do one to the exclusion of the other, if I fully get my experience and don't get yours, then I become a narcissist, essentially. Like, I'm the only person who matters. If I fully get yours and abandon myself, then I basically allow, like, and you wanna move on to step 4?
Yes.
Let's do step 4. What does step 4 say?
Practice accepting with the whole self, mind, body, and spirit. Oh, that's funny. It doesn't say heart. Didn't the other one say heart?
Yeah, if you go to handout 11, the first square is your mind, heart, and body. It's really a question of like, what do you consider to be your full self? Like, what are the components of you?
Yeah.
So whatever language feels right to you.
Right. Be creative in finding ways to involve your whole self. Use accepting self-talk, but also considering using relaxation, mindfulness of your breath, half smiling and willing hands, while thinking about how it feels unacceptable. Prayer or imagery. I'm annoyed by this whole process.
Say more.
I don't know. It just feels so like I'm annoyed at how much I don't do this whole process. I think is more what I'm like. I'm annoyed that it's work. I'm annoyed that it's like not my default and that it's like I'm very aware that this is all and that it's like I'm very aware that this is often what is missing for me is acceptance, and I'm annoyed that there's like 8 steps.
Yeah.
9 steps or whatever, and that I'm in the consciously incompetent phase. I hate this phase.
So I'll say a couple things and as a way of validating that.
I hate this phase.
So I'll say a couple things and as a way of validating that experience, because I also feel that as well. That typically, like the first time you go through this, what we're doing right now for this particular set of things, it does take like an hour to go through. Because you're honing down like what exactly you want the language to be and what you find yourself not accepting and everything, and you really sit with it. And then each time after that gets faster and you start practicing acceptance kind of more on the fly. One of the challenges, and I've realized this about the cope ahead skill. This came up in group the other day. How I skip the last step 100% of the time. Because cope ahead is part of what you're doing is you're envisioning putting yourself imaginarily into that circumstance and picturing yourself handling it skillfully. And you're picturing like the worst possible catastrophe and picturing yourself handling that skillfully. And then the last step is regulate. Do something pleasant. Lower your subjective units of distress. So that you're training your body, hey, I can cope ahead for something and I can feel some anxiety while doing it, and then I can come back down and regulate. I just imagine the worst case catastrophe and stay in that elevated place of like, holy shit, this is terrifying. So I've trained myself stressful by not doing the last step that's like, hey, you could do a cope ahead and be safe. You can do a cope ahead and self-soothe afterwards and like come back to yourself. So like doing a skill partially and then not having it work will train yourself that. So this is another thing I kind of harp on both for myself and for other people. I'm like, do all the steps, man. And it takes a while, but each time you do it, you get faster. And also consider what the cost is of not doing this.
Right.
I think that's another thing we as humans, we're like, yeah, the devil lines this cost. This is the water I swim in now.
Well, on that note, it's probably time for me to go to bed.
Hilarious. We're gonna go all the way through. I'm keeping you on the phone until we get all the way through.
It's just too good to pass up.
Uh-huh.
Okay, where are we? Practice is happening with the whole self, mind, body, and spirit. Be creative in finding ways to involve your whole self.
Do you ever do willing hands?
I feel like I have a handful of times, but not lately.
Try it. Like you're passing through a very narrow doorway with your plates of food all the way out, all the way shoulders back, all the way out, all the way shoulders back, all the way. Yep.
Oh God.
What's coming up for you?
It's uncomfortable. I feel like I want to want to curl up into myself.
Yep. So we're gonna with your hands out and your palms really flat, like you're basically trying to spread your hands out and your palms really flat, like you're basically trying to spread your palms as wide as possible. Now read the thing.
And the half smile.
You don't have to. That's not a half smile. That's a grimace.
I know. No, I'm aware.
I don't like half smiling because it feels like, femme presenting people being told you looks pretty if you smile. Mm-hmm. So I raise my eyebrows because I scowl a lot. So I will.
Oh, that's nice.
I will look surprised while doing it.
Okay, then what are you doing while you're doing these things?
So go back and read step 2 and step 3 while you're holding your body like that.
The unpleasant reality that I hurt people is just as it is. I didn't realize I wasn't doing my face.
So you got your arms out to the side, like really out to the side. Shoulders.
I'm trying not to knock over the phone and drop my paper and hold my body and read the thing. Okay, so arms out to the side, I got it. And face.
They're just like pleasant.
Oh my God, that's so uncomfortable. Is as it is and cannot be changed. The fact that I feel hurt is as it is and cannot be changed. The fact that I have thoughts and feelings and judgments about that is as it is and cannot be changed.
Eyebrows up. There you go.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
So what comes up is like I'm starting to have feelings, right? About, and so it feels like almost the antithesis. Like I feel like I'm not accepting the feelings that I'm having by forcing my face into it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
but that here's what we're trying to avoid.
okay.
Like my copa head situation where I was doing copa heads and then leaving myself in this really stressed out state, training myself that doing this copa head is misery. Training myself that doing this copa head is misery. So what we're doing right now is training yourself that, yeah, you can look at the reality and you're still safe.
Mm.
You're okay. When you fold in on yourself, you're communicating to your body, I am unsafe. Doing this practice is unsafe. Unsafe. Doing this practice is unsafe.
It's so interesting because the desire to fold in feels like holding myself in this position feels unsafe because my body wants to, like, this is what feels safe is curling up into a.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The fact that I cannot fully know how someone else feels is just as it is, and else feels is just as it is and cannot be changed. The fact that I have the thought it shouldn't be this way and I feel angry and sad is as it is and cannot be changed. There are causes for the reality that I hurt people. There are causes for the reality that I feel hurt. There are causes for the reality that I have thoughts and feelings and judge me this way, and that I feel angry and sad. There are causes for the reality that I cannot fully know how someone else feels. Okay, I don't like this.
Uh-huh. There are causes for the reality that you don't like this.
True. But it also felt better the more I did it.
Ah.
Okay. You're doing a great job. And though it's uncomfortable, and even though you started yawning and wanted to get off the phone an hour ago, here we still are.
Mm-hmm.
Also, notice that it's getting easier as you do it. And you're not dying, even though your eye is twitching.
Mm-hmm.
I also was thinking, I'm thinking about going to a place that helps bring you to acceptance or imagery.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's something like right there. It's like right outside of my, I don't quite have words for it yet, but that I'm like, oh, there's something, way that I think about things that helps me get to a place of acceptance easier. I know what it was. Oh, I knew it would come back if I just kept talking. Have you watched the documentary The Fire of Love?
No.
Oh, watch the documentary The Fire of Love?
No.
Oh, I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. Nope, it's on Disney. It's a documentary, true story of the husband and wife volcanologists. They study volcanoes.
Oh, neat.
And they started studying volcanoes in like the 60s. They basically were like tornado chasers. Volcanoes in like the 60s. They basically were like tornado chasers, but for volcanoes. So it's like the story of their marriage and their relationship, but mostly about the volcanoes. And they're like both were like heavily in love with volcanoes. Just like the footage of these volcanoes is like insanity. As I was watching this documentary, I just felt very, very small, and not in a this documentary. I just felt very, very small, and not in a like a compressed way, but just in an awareness of the like bigness of everything, and like how it's crazy that we feel like we can control anything on this planet. I just feels like all the things I deal with feel like way less important and way less big and way less like, well, like in the face of like fucking volcano. So I have some thoughts that I shouldn't hurt people. Like, what even is that? Anyway, sorry, that was tangent. I was trying to think of things that help bring me to acceptance and take me out of the like
Spiraling.
Yeah, I was gonna say the littleness because that's what it feels like. It feels like my brain gets into this like myopic view of
Like I'm pushing really hard for you to open your body up.
right.
Because when you fold in on yourself like that, it's communicating back to your body, I'm not safe. I need to do this in order to make myself safe. I need to curl up in a ball in order to make myself safe.
Right. Well, thanks for pushing. It's working. Okay. But it became fun. Practice opposite action. List all the behaviors you would do if you did accept the facts. Ugh. Then act as if you have already accepted the facts. Engage in the behaviors that you would do if you really had accepted. Oh, okay. List all the behaviors you would do if I accepted the facts. If I accepted the fact that I hurt people, if I accepted the fact that I feel hurt, if I accepted that I have thoughts and feelings and judgments about feeling hurt and hurting people, and if I accepted that I have the thought it shouldn't be this way and I feel angry and sad, And if I accept that I cannot fully know how someone else feels. That's a lot of things. That I cannot fully know how someone else feels. That's a lot of things. I don't know what opposite I can think of opposite actions for the first two. I struggle with the last four or three.
Let's go through them then.
Okay, so for opposite actions of if I accepted that I feel that I hurt people, I think part of what there is for me to accept I hurt people. I think part of what there is for me to accept that would be helpful, I'm going to write this down, is that people hurt people.
Yep.
That like part of being human is hurting people.
Yeah, I mean, like, if we get into, like, really fucking granular, people impact other people in ways that those don't like.
Say that again. People impact other people.
In ways that the other people don't like. Or doesn't feel good to them. Like, part of the thing that is helpful for me is to, like basically explain it like I'm 5, you know? Like, what is hurting someone?
That's helpful. And then it's also would be helpful in ways that they can't control or in ways that
They didn't intend.
yeah. That makes me think of like just atoms like bouncing around in the universe, bumping into each other. Like, yeah, well, I bumped into you and you bumped into that and that bumped into whatever, and then that pushed the car off the road. And that was okay.
In other people or in ourselves.
Okay, so opposite actions. If I accepted that part of being human is that people hurt other people and that I will, because of that, hurt people. I mean, I feel like if I accepted that, I would just be better about apologizing or
repair.
That's what you just said. Because I'm like, I think a skill that I am not skillful at yet is repair. And so I feel like if I accepted that this is just part of life, then I would be more intentional about like, okay, what is this skill? Like, because I was like, I don't even know exactly what I would do. That's because I don't have the skill of repair. So I think what I would do is I would learn the skill of repair. So I think what I would do is I would learn the skill of repair. I would like figure out what it is and start practicing it. Okay. I did, in that vein, buy the book that Desmond Tutu wrote about forgiveness.
Yeah, you recommended it to Mom, and then she bought it and read it and can't remember anything from it. I have judgments. And can't remember anything from it. I have judgments.
Clearly. Well, there's a difference between reading a book and actually applying a book. As I'm reading The Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control for the second time, because the first time I just read it and I was like, that was amazing. And then for the next year, I was like, I think I need to actually really read that book and like slow down and take notes and actually like apply and read it with a book club and actually like own it and not just have read it. Okay, learn the skill of repair. Okay, so this is helpful, the skill of repair. And so I like this step. This is a brainstorming step. This is my vibe here. Okay, read the forgiveness book.
I also have an Instagram account to recommend.
Oh, great. What you got?
Her handle is Christabel Minta Galloway. I will link it in the description. But she has almost, not exclusively, but I would say 90% of her content is about relational repair.
Oh, good.
A resource of like, what are the step-by-steps type stuff to do for relational repair? And she blows it out of the water.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hurt people, and sometimes they're gonna say to you, hey, you hurt me. Sometimes you're gonna notice yourself before they even sensations come up, and action urges to run away, to like self-flagellate, to like, please forgive me, I can't believe I've been working so hard on it and I'm embarrassed. All of this shit, all of that's gonna come up. Doesn't mean you have to act that way. Like, you can stop yourself from acting on those urges.
This makes me think of feel the feeling. It's that you're not acting on the urges that they go with it. This is making me think of I'm watching Molly's Game, the movie. For those of you who've never seen this movie, it's a true story of a woman who she was an Olympic athlete and then got injured, had to quit her career, was basically like broke, and then kind of stumbled in, and then eventually built her own high stakes poker game. And then in order to run it, she got addicted to drugs in order to be able to stay up all night. And she was running this game with a lot of integrity. Like, it was above board. She wasn't breaking the law at all. She wasn't like collecting debts with force or anything. Like, but then she got addicted to drugs in order to stay awake, in order to run. There is like zero shame. Like, she just says, like, someone in a deposition later, once they've like arrested her and whatever, and they're like trying her for this crime, they said, you were really thorough in vetting your players. And she was like, yeah, but you let 4 people in from like the Russian mob. And she's like, yeah, and an FBI in from like the Russian mob. And she's like, yeah, and an FBI informant. And then they just kind of looked at her and she was like, yeah, I was on drugs at the end and I wasn't doing my job well. And it was just like the facts. And I was like, huh. Because I can imagine myself saying a similar thing with all kinds of energy of like, apologizing and shame and embarrassment. And it was so interesting to watch how like I have no judgment for her, and I have some judgments about drugs that I still need to unpack, and I had zero judgments of her, literally not any. What would that be like if I could walk through life whenever I've made what I would consider a mistake and a thing that doesn't align with my own values? She talks about getting depressed and hitting this wall and feeling this existential, like, what am I even doing? And the way she talks about it was not at all from a victim standpoint. It was very just like matter of fact, like, yeah, I was just tired of the greed. It was very just like matter of fact, like, yeah, I was just tired of the greed. I was tired of my greed. I was tired of everyone else's greed. Like a very like, this is what happened. Mm-hmm. And I was like, huh. And note that I have no judgment about what happened because you have, okay.
Well, and essentially what a movie does or what a story does is it provides the context for how some sort of history led up to that moment.
Right.
And if a story does it well, that's frequently why, like, the protagonist is the person we get all the context for. And the antagonist is usually the one getting in the way of what the protagonist wants, and we get less context for the antagonist. So that's why frequently we don't get backstory for the antagonist. Or once we do get backstory for the antagonist, it's really kind of just like a letdown because you're like, oh, well then I understand why you did what you did. And it's hard because you're like, oh, well then I understand why you did what you did. And it's harder to judge. Now that's because we use judgment to like motivate us to take action. There are ways to take action in alignment with our values that is not judgment based. It's just values based of like, hey, I get why you did that, and you're not allowed to do that here. Hey, I get why you stole from me, and hey, it doesn't work for me that you stole from me. Like, it's not the type of relationship I want to have with you.
He talks about that even in the book about forgiveness. That's one of the steps is like deciding whether like what you want the relationship to look like moving forward. And one of the options is to not have one.
Yep.
Like you can have forgiveness and be like, and I'm not going to be in relationship with you anymore because this does not work for me.
In talking to our parents, specifically Dad, is he keeps going back to the idea that the word forgive means to give as before. If I lend you $20 and then I want to forgive that debt, I mark it out on my ledger. You no longer owe me $20. What Dad thinks it means, in addition to that, is that I should just continue to keep lending you money. And I'm like, forgiving a debt, lend you money. I can forgive your debt and then go, hey, one of the things that allows me to lend money to people is that they pay me back. You don't have a track record of paying me back. I'm not going to keep lending you money. That is not forgiveness. It's fucking physics. It's part of why, like, I get so mad and talking to Dad about this, because you act as though the harm was never caused. And the example I keep using with Mom and Dad is, let's say, Dad, you accidentally chop off my arm and it cannot be reattached. And I forgive you for it. I'm like, hey, I know you didn't mean to do it on purpose. It's fine. Like, these accidents happen. Yes, there's an impact. Of course there's an impact. And yeah, I'm not going to like blame you for the rest of my life and like punish you, right? Dad reacts to the physics of it though as punishment. Joy, every time I hang out with you, you just rub it in my face that your arm's missing. And I'm constantly reminded of the fact that I did that. You're punishing me for this. I'm like, I'm not. You're punishing me for this. I'm like, I'm not punishing you for it, actually. I'm just visibly sans arm. Just because you continue to see the impact of your behavior doesn't mean I haven't forgiven you. I can choose not to press charges, like not to be like, hey, this was assault or whatever. I can choose not to like hold on to the anger and whatever. And I'm still going through life now without an arm. There is an impact there. And I think his definition of forgiveness is that there should no longer be an impact.
Mm.
And that's when I get like really fucking angry and I'm like, Dad, you were a fucking engineer. It's fucking physics.
Sure, that goes well as a conversation.
I mean, I get really mad about it because I feel like I'm talking to a 2-year-old who just
Yeah.
doesn't understand that if you knock a glass off the table, it's going to break.
Fun.
For myself is when I apologize to never say the phrase, I apologize or I'm sorry. Because those phrases feel like shortcuts to me. Like, hey, don't get mad at me. I'm apologizing. Look at me apologizing, whatever. So it forces me to ask the question, what would I have to communicate if I'm not allowed to say I'm sorry? Or I'm not allowed, or, hey, I did this thing that was out of alignment with my values and it harmed you, which is also out of alignment with my values. This is not the way I want to show up in my relationship with you. So I want to repair the harm that I've caused. And here's what I'm going to be doing. Here's what I'm going to be putting into place moving forward to prevent me from continuing to cause this harm. I would also like to hear about that's important that you feel heard and validated. And I can do all of that without ever saying the phrase, I'm sorry or I apologize.
Right.
Or I feel really, really bad about it. I feel awful. Like, who is that for?
Not the person being apologized to.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, and we were on practice opposite the action. Act as if you've already accepted the facts. Engage in the behaviors you would do if you really had accepted. Okay, so I feel like I have a good sense of what that looks like for if I hurt other people. I don't think I have a good sense of what that looks like if I feel hurt. Oh, no, I do. It just looks like speaking. I have a good sense of what that looks like if I feel hurt. Oh, no, I do. It just looks like speaking up.
Sure. And also, like, tending to your own pain, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if I punch you in the face, you can speak up and be like, hey, that hurt. But also, like, even if I refuse to acknowledge that I hurt you, you can go and get an ice pack. You can take some Tylenol. You can rest in a dark room.
That's the first step of self-compassion, is acknowledging that pain is the primary issue.
Sure.
And then treating your pain with kindness. The opposite action is, or what I would do if I accepted that I have the thoughts and feelings and judgments and thoughts of it shouldn't be this way and I feel angry and sad.
Okay. So you have judgments that people hurt people. You have judgments about the fact that people hurt people.
Right. And it said, list all the behaviors you would do if I did accept the facts. It depends on the day, but yes, in general.
I mean, honestly, like, I wouldn't put a huge amount of effort into stopping having the judgments, which is kind of like trying to make yourself not think about pink elephants. Your judgments come up, they come from somewhere and they're caused and they're trying to do something for you. Usually, hey, our values are this, and we're seeing behavior that's that. But you can acknowledge, like, hey, that person is acting out of alignment with my values. I don't like the way that person's acting. It doesn't feel good. I wish that person were acting a different way. Sure.
Oh, except that I have thoughts and feelings about the things, is that I could practice non-judgment about them.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. And be like, yes, I have those thoughts and feelings. And, yeah. Okay.
Like, your heart beats, your brain thinks, your body feels.
Right. Okay. If I accepted the fact, how would I behave?
So you got to add an extra clause here. You can't fully know how someone else feels, and not knowing is uncomfortable.
Oh, and I cannot fully know how someone else feels, and not knowing is uncomfortable.
Yeah, because I think it's a comfort to you, the certainty of somebody else versus the uncertainty of what other people are feeling.
Well, it's funny. So as soon as you said that, as soon as you added that clause, I'm like, oh, well, then I feel like the action I would do is I would just not judge that it's uncomfortable. Be like, okay.
And self-soothe, like, there's things you can do to tend to yourself. Yeah, I feel really uncomfortable right now. I'm having a lot of catastrophizing thoughts. I'm having a lot of, like, assumptions and judgments. All of this feels really uncomfortable. What can I do to soothe myself?
Cool.
I mean, really, you could add that clause at the end of each of these 4 points. You hurt people, and that feels uncomfortable. You feel hurt, and that hurt people, and that feels uncomfortable. You feel hurt, and that feels uncomfortable.
Okay, cool. All right. Cope ahead with events that seem unacceptable. Imagine in your mind's eye believing what you don't want to accept. Rehearse in your mind what you would do if you accepted what seems unacceptable. Is that basically if you accepted what seems unacceptable? Is that basically just doing the step before, but in my mind?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's imaginal exposure. So it's you picturing hurting someone and being aware that you've hurt them. It's you picturing someone hurting you. It's you how someone else is feeling.
Do you ever do this with events that have already happened? Like imagine reliving an event that's already happened where you've gotten, and then how you would respond? Or is that not really effective?
Um, I will Groundhog Day myself.
Oh, like what if this happened again and in the future? Kind
Yes,
of a,
this happens tomorrow because trying to re
yeah, no, that's a helpful. Well, and also there's some circumstances like the call I was talking about earlier, likely that same situation will happen next time.
Mhm. And the Groundhog Day of it all is that you have the knowledge from the last time it happened. Whereas going back into
Right.
the past doesn't give you that knowledge. Now you're just
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to imagine. Okay. So I'm imagining in a future conversation, someone says something that I feel hurt by, and now I'm feeling angry and I'm feeling upset. Oh, and then I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Imagine your mind's eye believing what you don't want to accept. Oh, that I feel hurt. First in my mind, what would you do if I accepted what feels unacceptable? Okay, so I'm imagining that what I would do, this is my mind's eye out loud because
right.
it's podcasting. You can't see my mind's eye. So I'm imagining that someone says something, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm having a reaction now. And imagining giving myself permission to actually send, I'm imagining that first off, that I could self permission to actually send, I'm imagining that first off, that I could prepare myself in advance with a pre written text to my cohorts who could step in to facilitate for me
Ah,
so that I don't have to think of it in the moment because once I'm having a strong reaction, it's hard. It could even just be the word tag.
you're it.
Like I could set them up. It could even just be the word tag.
You're it.
Like I could set them up. That's amazing. Okay, so I see myself setting up my people that I would want to tag into facilitating and just sending them like telling them in advance. I'm going to send you this text if I need to tap out, and it's just going to say tag.
Also, like you can also just set up the call. You can also just set up the call and say, "Hey, we're going to be talking about some emotional things, or we're going to be talking about some just complicated heavy things or whatever. People are going to have emotions. If you need a minute to tend to yourself, take it. Just say BRB in the chat." Like you can set up the culture of that call to the person who's going to step in.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say I need an extra step because I'm the facilitator. Okay. And then I'm imagining myself actually fully stepping away, not like just turning off my camera and but like taking out my headphones, getting up, walking around. God, I haven't had to use a skill to like navigate that level of distress in a while. Maybe, yeah, jumping jacks is really helpful for me.
Mm-hmm.
Remind myself that this is caused. And then I'm imagining myself getting back on the call in a more grounded space. And then I'm imagining it happening again 8 minutes later.
Sure.
And then I'm imagining myself doing all of that again and it happening a little bit faster 2 or 3 times, but each time the length of having to step away is maybe a little bit less. And then I'm imagining actually being able to hear the person who says things that I have reactions to, hear them more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm also imagining myself being able to speak up a little bit more, maybe like I'm also imagining myself being able to speak up a little bit more, maybe like being a little bit more willing to interrupt and say, hey, I'm gonna redirect, or which then leads me to the other one, which is that I'm hurt people, because I'm also imagining that that person might have their feelings hurt by me doing that, and then I'm gonna have a reaction of have their feelings hurt by me doing that, and then I'm gonna have a reaction of feeling guilt and shame about having hurt someone. And I could do open hands, willing hands. I'm imagining doing willing hands, and sitting with the discomfort of having caused someone pain and saying, yep, that happened. Having caused someone pain and saying, yep, that happened. Not having to do anything with it.
Yeah, one of the things that's fascinating about my DBT program is that there's a facilitator or a behavioral tech in the room with us at all times. So we're never alone. And frequently they will redirect diagnoses or substances or sex or politics or whatever. They'll change the topics themselves, or they'll just say, hey, we got to redirect. I've watched myself in the 7 weeks that I've been there start with, the first time I was told to redirect, have a huge shame response. The tech didn't do anything wrong. I'm just having a shame response. I felt embarrassed. And now when it happens, I'm just like, yep. Like, it's happened enough. I'm not like purposefully getting redirected, but it's happened enough where now I'm just like, yeah, okay, so
That's cool.
you can redirect somebody and they can have a shame response. That doesn't mean you hurt them.
Right. Round into each other, and like that instructor can do the exact same thing in different days, and you're going to react differently depending on a million different things. So the physics thing is actually very helpful in taking the personalness out of it, because it also is like, well, that atom bouncing into that atom is going to depend on well, that atom bouncing into that atom is going to depend on like the weather and the like a million factors that are outside of either of the atoms' control.
That's why we talk about so much about vulnerability factors. Like, did you sleep? Did you eat? Have you been able to hang out with people that you love? Sleep. Did you eat? Have you been able to hang out with people that you love? Are you doing stuff that, give you a sense of purpose and shit? Are you skillful in whatever context it is? Like, there's all of these things that make us more likely to go flinging off into the stratosphere when an atom hits us. Which isn't to say like absolve ourselves when an atom hits us. Which isn't to say like absolve ourselves of, hey, if somebody's hurt by what I do, it's not my fault. It's their own atom's issue. Like,
right.
You can still take accountability and be like, yeah, I did the thing that triggered you to go flinging off into the atmosphere. How do we tend to you? Without making you, of course, you were acting out of alignment with your own values, in which case there's something for you to be accountable for.
Yeah. I feel like it actually makes it easier to be with the other person's experience when it's not personal. Oh, okay, you're having a reaction. Well, let's say instead of now I have to deal with my reaction to your reaction, I could just be with your reaction instead of quick cope ahead, if we may, if you're okay with staying on the step for a second longer.
Sure.
For the I cannot fully know how someone else feels, and not knowing is uncomfortable. Oh, okay, this is helpful just to say it out loud. Imagine believing that's okay. It was just to be with the discomfort. Okay, so the hope ahead is very helpful in advance than to try to think of it when it's actually happening. I should start carrying a rock around in my pocket again, because that's very grounding for me and feels very soothing to touch. I'm trying to think of what I like to do to self-soothe. I have a bracelet that I like to wear that's made of a bunch of little rocks. It's very tactily, very grounding, but it's not always on.
Sure.
Grounding, but it's not always on.
Sure.
Get around my fingertips together. That's pretty grounding.
Is there any breathing that you like to do that you find soothing?
I don't breathe. I do breathe, but I don't practice breathing techniques as much as I think just taking a deep breath is usually pretty helpful. Haven't much as I think just taking a deep breath is usually pretty helpful. Haven't done as much embodied soothing stuff lately. Belly breaths.
Mm-hmm. When you also mentioned like the thing that's on your mirror about self-compassion, like compassionate self-talk of like, hey, I'm sitting in the car with Joy and I don't know how Joy's compassionate self-talk of like, hey, I'm sitting in the car with Joy and I don't know how Joy's feeling right now. And that feels uncomfortable. I am feeling uncomfortable. Yep, I don't like this. I can sit and feel uncomfortable and I can survive feeling uncomfortable.
Right.
And oh look, I'm noticing the urge to ask Joy 17 times. Are you okay? Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Are you okay?
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is purely hypothetical.
You're really hypothetical. I've never done that ever in our lives.
You're like, I feel that urge. Look at that urge. That urge is trying to keep me safe. Oh, little urge. Yep.
That's helpful. Okay, I'm ready to move on to the next step.
Sure. What's the next step?
Attend to body sensations as you think about what you need to accept. I feel like we've kind of talked about that already.
Yes, we've been doing that as we go.
Very good. Allow disappointment, sadness, or except we haven't really talked about grief, but
I think you have tangentially a little bit. Like, yeah, that's a bummer. Like,
right.
I don't like that I impact other people in ways that they find painful.
I feel like that's part of acknowledging the thoughts and feelings I'm having about. Like that's part of what we kind of drill down into accepting pain.
We have positive outliers for that one. You don't go and jump off a bridge after getting a paper cut.
Right.
You're like, I can survive feeling this pain.
Well, surviving is also different than actually worth living. That's
Yes.
like an interesting distinction because in my
Thrive.
yeah, well, it doesn't specifically say thrive, but it feels more in that vein of like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's an interesting. I'm gonna look for more positive outliers. That one. Well, an interesting example of that is when I had my staph infection years and years ago. I was just thinking about structure in my day-to-day life, and depending on the day. If I have a day where I have literally nothing scheduled, it usually ends up being a pretty challenging day for me emotionally. If I have even just one thing on my schedule, it kind of creates enough structure that I'm like, oh, I have this amount of time before that thing. I should try and get, and then whatever. And I was reflecting on the period of time when I had my staph infection and I was literally bedridden and I couldn't do anything really except lay in pain in bed. And I bought a yellow legal pad, or had one. Every night I would write a list of like, here's what you have to do tomorrow, at because I was on like 60 million different medications to try and treat what was going on. It was because I was on like 60 million different medications to try and treat what was going on. It was like, wake up, eat breakfast. I like wrote out every little thing. And I was like freaking more productive and like than I like maybe ever. It was like one of the
Yeah.
most like, because I was like so thoughtful about it, and I don't know if I would have, because I was like so thoughtful about it, and I don't know if I would have said that it felt worth living in the moment, but I've like learned a lot from that experience of like how helpful structure is for me. And even in that time period, I watched a YouTube video, like several TED Talks that were really transformative, and you and I had some really deep conversations during that period of time that were really impactful. You and I had some really deep conversations during that period of time that were really impactful. And I would say it was worth living, even though it was fucking awful.
One of the things, I think this is a distress tolerance skill. Let's see if I can find it. It's improve the moment. Distress tolerance handout 9 is an acronym. So a way to feel better in the moment, lower your distress. One section of it, the M in improve, is meaning. So find purpose or meaning in a painful situation. Focus on whatever positive aspects of a painful situation you can find. And this is one of the things that if anyone else came to you, let's look at all the things you learned, you'd probably punch them in the nose. But when you find them for yourself, it feels
Right.
very different. And like one of the ways that I use this one just in general is anytime I'm in distress, it's like, aha! In order for me to get good at practicing distress tolerance while in distress, when I'm feeling fine, I mean, I can,
Right.
but if I want to get really good at practicing distress tolerance in distress, I need to be in distress.
Right.
So, like, if you want to get really good at doing repair, relational repair, you need to fuck up and hurt people. And that's great. Like, if you see it that and that's great. Like, if you see it that way, if you're like, oh my God, I get to actually practice this, you know?
It's funny because when you just said, you've said this to me before and it hasn't landed the way it just did. And I'm like, I think part of why what was missing for me that is becoming more clear now, that would have me feel more excited for me, that is becoming more clear now, that would have me feel more excited about that, is actually having enough skill to practice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When it's just like, oh, if I want to get good at this thing has to happen, but I have zero skill about how to get good at this. And then that thing just keeps happening. And then I just continue to suck at it because I actually don't have the ability to happening. And then I just continue to suck at it because I actually don't have the ability to practice it. Then it's not exciting that it keeps happening. So having like the actual physical, here's what I'm going to do to practice to actually get better is like, yeah, good.
Yeah. So, like, baseball players, they have spring training and then they have baseball. And then, once they're good at playing baseball, they can go to the World Series. And once they're in the World Series, they can practice getting good at playing in the World Series. But you don't
Right.
just take random person off the street and drop them in the World Series and say, okay, now's your time to practice playing well in the World Series. Like, that's why we have skills practice. That's why I give you an opportunity to practice with low stakes, just day to day,
Right.
so that you can do it when the stakes are higher. And that's why imaginal exposure is also really, like, our brains can't tell the difference between what we're imagining and what's real.
Which is crazy.
Uh-huh. So you can actually imagining a situation of like somebody hurting you, coworker or whatever, and how you would want to heal from that, like what you would want to do with that.
Cool. Okay, well, that was it.
Yeah.
We made it through.
Yep.
Okay, so my takeaway, this was very helpful. It was very helpful to actually walk through the steps and actually do the things and not just hype, because you and I talk about them a lot, but we don't hardly ever actually take a thing that I'm out of acceptance with and like choop 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 choop. Like I think we've practiced like pieces of them, but never like all of it.
Yeah.
So that was very helpful to kind of see the impact of all of it. So that was very helpful to kind of see the impact of all of it. I kind of want to reread my statements and just see how I feel about them.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like there's worksheets. Like distress tolerance worksheet 9 actually walks you through the distress tolerance thing. And it asks you at the start, what is your level of acceptance, 0 to 100? And then at the end, what is your level of acceptance?
Nice.
Which forces your progress into your consciousness. It trains you that, hey, this works.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to say the statements. I hurt people. People hurt people. Part of being human is hurting people. I'm also doing it with as much open posture as I can while holding my book.
Filling hands.
I feel hurt. I have thoughts and feelings and judgments about feeling hurt and hurting people. I have the thought it shouldn't be this way, and I feel angry and sad. I cannot fully know how someone else feels, and not knowing is...
Hey, Nito!
Hey! That was great, and it was great to like actually have some tangible things to like walk through. I learned that I really love the step about practicing opposite action because it's brainstorming, which is my jam. And I like the cope ahead actually too, because then the cope ahead is like a way to practice the opposite actions with, which is cool and also makes me feel more confident about my ability to actually do it when it happens. Yeah, this was great. Thank you for insisting that I stay on the call for the whole thing, and thank you for your patience and me being late, and thank you for, well, I don't know if you were patient, but thank you for being with me being late, and because it took a lot of time, and I'm grateful. And I'm having fun doing this with you. This is fun. I like recording podcast episodes with you.
Splendid. So, well, I want you to feel like you're getting your money's worth because you're my biggest Patreon supporter. So,
well, thanks.
No, thank you for sticking through the discomfort of it, because I'm with you frequently while doing this for myself. There are points when I want to bail out, and I'm like, I don't need to keep going. I can stop here. And so I appreciate you sticking through it while also feeling really uncomfortable, because you started out feeling really uncomfortable.
As evidenced by I started yawning and wanted to go to sleep as soon as we started.
Yep.
Like, okay, it's time for bed now.
And so this is adding to your confidence around your skillfulness. And this lives for posterity. You can go back and listen to this, that you can see that sticking through the discomfort gets you to a better place. You can tolerate it.
You actually feel less tired now than I did at the beginning of our call.
Yay.
So that's cool.
Splendid. Well, thank you for this. And welcome back to the future. Some additional information on some of the things Ruth and I mentioned. The movie that I mentioned at the very beginning about the guy who doesn't feel pain, it's called Novocaine, and it's starring Jack Quaid. The condition is called congenital insensitivity to pain, CIP, or congenital analgesia. Also, the episode where Ruth and I talk about how annoyed we get when skills work, that's episode 29. So you can go back and listen to that one. I've also linked all of the resources that I mentioned in this episode in the show notes. These include the Book of Forgiving, The Fourfold Path for Healing Ourselves and Our World by Desmond Tutu and Mufo Tutu. The Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control, A Path to Peace and Power by Catherine Morgan Schaeffler. And I've also linked to Relational Repair. This episode is already super long, so I'm not going to go into really any more details aside from just thanking you all for listening. And I'm just going to end this like I usually end it, which is super abrupt. This has been Let's Therapize That Shit with your host, me, Joy Gerhardt. And tell your friends about it. I'll see you next time. Intro and outro music is Swan Lake Opus 20 by Tchaikovsky. performed by the London Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Anatoli Fistulari, and released on LP by Richmond High Fidelity London Records in 1952.